make sure that you're comfortable. Close your eyes. And notice your experience. Not through analysis, but just to notice what is going on right here. It's easy to be swept away by the content, trying to understand, trying to piece things together, analyze. But for right now, just be here. Whatever the thoughts say, just notice. See the experience for what it is, not for what you want it to be. Every moment here. Whatever it is, however you experience this moment. There's no wrong expressions. There are no wrong feelings or thoughts. Whatever you feel, you allow that to be expressed. Sense what it is. See the expression of it. See how it comes. How it manifests for a while. And how it goes. And if there is deep allowance of whatever state, it will always be passing very quickly. Because when we don't allow the natural expressions of feelings or sensations in the body or thoughts or whatever, You always consider yourself someone who don't want it. In that moment, duality is created. In the full embrace of this moment, there is no duality. There is only this. In the deepest expression of this moment, there is nothing that can be wrong in the experience. This does not mean that you accept everything on the relative level. The expressions that happen they can happen naturally. But as soon as they're infused with a sense of identity, it becomes stiff. The expressions will still move, but you have the idea that they shouldn't. And a great way to come back into alignment with what is to ask the question, to whom is this happening? The river just flows naturally. But it's your choice to stand in the river and try to stop it. Try to make it change direction. Scream to the river that it should go the other way. But the deep acceptance of that the river just flows. creates peace. The mind might suggest, but you don't have to follow. You just see the underlying current. You see that the thought comes, stays for a while, and goes. You can never be truly lost because you can always remember that you are this. You are this moment. You're not the drama. You're not the thoughts. You're not even that constant inner conversation. You are the spaciousness in which all of that happens. You are that, whatever your mood is, however deep your forgetfulness of this moment is, you will still be it. You will always return to it. And if this underlying silence, stillness, has shown itself to you through your experience, it seems that that spark ignites a fire in you. It seems like that when that spark is lit, that longing always comes back. The longing to know what this is. There is a sincerity in your heart. It is your inner guru. It will express and show exactly what is needed. But the duality of mind usually eclipses it. The mind's ideas of what you are and what you should become. But there is a deep intuitive sense. And it shows itself as soon as there is gaps between the thoughts. And the expression of it can be through inner dialogue, just as the egoic mind, but it has a completely different flavor. You will notice that your normal inner dialogue resists it. That longing always seems too much, too extreme, too deep. Or that there's really nothing to gain from it, according to the egoic mind. If you practice meditation sincerely, you will gain things. You will gain ability. You will notice things that others don't notice. You will sense the much deeper intention behind things. But these are just side effects of the mind being quiet. But the deepest aspect of you has nothing to gain, because nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be subtracted from it. And if you stay here, you will notice the qualities of this moment. Is that there is a famous mantra, Purna, Purnamida, Purnamidam, Purna Udachakte, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Everything is complete. If you take away from what is complete, it is still complete. If you add to what is complete, it is still complete. Completeness is complete. This is the quality of you. Or whatever you want to call it. It's not like the mind's you. It's not the personal you. It's just the isness of your experience. You can open your eyes, move your body. think it's very common to have a feeling that we can absorb so much information. And especially if we have heard it, we somehow know it. And it's weird that that is so far from the truth. We look at something at face value, we see a teaching or we see some wisdom or something, and we look at it and we have heard it. But from that moment to the moment where you live it, that it is an expressed truth in you, can be 20 years. And I'm not saying that it have to be, but it's just how we look at our mind. And when you start to realize small things, it can sometimes give you the humility to be like, okay, I'm very identified, or do you understand that you're quite separate in your whole approach to things, and you just buy into separateness. But all these things can feel very heavy and very difficult to, and it feels like, oh, wow, this is such a long journey. Yes, I let go of that, but there's thousands of things that are still prodding in my mind, coming again and again, and some of them I buy and I go the same route again. And it's good to be very realistic with it, because then you can be really honest. Because it's so easy to say that you feel good about your practice and you've been keeping it up for quite some time, and now you're in a really good place and you know a lot of things. And then you start to realize that it's not about knowing. That in the beginning, information can be quite good because you can just hear the things that are true. What is truth in the expression of this life? But at some point, you have to let go of the intellectual idea that there is something to solve here. That it's in some way you can outwit it, or you can be clever about it and have some kind of realization through that. And it's beautiful that it is like that. That you have to go through experiencing. Because otherwise meditation would be a club for really smart people. That would be terrible. Sometimes you just meet very ordinary people who has a great heart. They cannot help it. And even though they might not be able to express wisdom in words, all their actions are infused by it. And I think there is a confusion sometimes because the people who express these things through talks are usually quite verbal. They might like poetry, how things are expressed in words. So all the people who listen to them think that that is what I have to be as well. But it has nothing to do with that. That is just someone who is good at conveying those things in words and therefore get that position. The most important is always just be with this moment. You can call it what you like. There are so many different ways to express that. You can say, always stay with the feeling of I. And in the beginning, you might say, but that seems like something completely different. But that will lead you to the same point. That will lead you to the place that's not the point. And also, if you focus deeply on your sadhana, if you focus deeply on your practice, the meditation itself, and you stay with what is meditative, that is the same thing. The thing that gives you these moments of just feeling and for some people, it can be through singing, through devotion. Someone else just likes to be still and observe. Maybe just sit in a cafe by themselves and just look at people. See how everything moves, how everything is expressed. And also see that there is no one that this is moving in. That's why sages and teachers say all these strange things. They say that you are nothing and that you are everything. And people like to quote this, oh, I'm both nothing and everything. It sounds so amazing. But it's just what it is. Because the one that thinks that it happens to them has to be created every time, has to be believed in, has to be held up. And if you only for a moment don't try to lift that person into something, it will fall. There will be space. And you might think that it's an amazing event that is happening for a few seconds or minutes or hours. But it's just the naturalness of everything that shines through. And for one person, it can be like a strike of lightning. And for another person, it comes slowly, slowly, slowly. Because there also seem to be that you get exactly what you're ready for. And some people are just ready for a very slow burn, and another person is ready for a lightning strike. And you won't know until you just sit with it. There's so much gratitude. It overflows sometimes. It's not a specific gratitude. It's just to all of it. That it is as it is.
You say gratefulness for everything, not for anything specific. So at the end of the day, when I feel grateful, is it a bad thing if I say to myself, I'm grateful for this and that he did that and that happened? Is that dualistic?
When gratitude is expressed with conditions, it's always dualistic. Or in comparison to. I'm grateful I'm not living in a starving country, or I'm grateful that is not really gratefulness, I think. That is just comparison of the mind, that you somehow feel okay about yourself because you're not in a more terrible position. That is super dualistic. But the gratitude could be, you could feel gratitude for everything, and it could be sometimes very pointed to a specific thing, like your teacher or a certain sage. At certain days, there can come strong gratitude, and it's very much for Ramana or Nisargadatta or Anandamayama or someone that has touched me. But that has nothing to do with they're not specific in that sense. They are the whole. And it has a different flavor to it. But this gratitude that is often talked about as gratitude can be quite dualistic. But it's also on a relative level, it's also It can be healing sometimes, even with the dualistic gratitude. I think when we talk about non-dual meditation, it's often considered everything that is made when you have a feeling of duality in yourself, you feel separate, and you do things that all those are wrong in some way. This is not a very good path. I think that the expression of also the things that you feel in the dual are valid. They also have to be expressed. You cannot suppress them. For example, a very good example is the longing for truth, which is very dualistic in a way, because it says that I am not truth. I need something to be complete. But the expression and the longing of that, to express that, can be beautiful and can be so good with coming to terms with it. Because if you always resist it, then it's another thing to relate to. There is even more duality in that. And that acceptance can be needed. So I'm really longing for this. I want to express it. I want to sing, or I want to do whatever expression you have of it. I want to cry because I think it's so beautiful, or whatever it is. All those things should be there. It has to, we cannot censor. It cannot be like an elite club of we are into the absolute, so we censor everything. But I just have seen this so many times in this kind of context. And if we're going to be okay with all expressions, you have to really be okay with all the expressions of yourself. And it's so easy to go into some kind of persona that's really into meditation. And there was a son of a friend. He's 11, and he told me, "You're so kind. Oh, you're so kind always." And I said to him, "I don't consider myself kind. It is not something that I am. Kindness just happens. When there is nothing in the way, that will happen. And when you see someone, you feel empathy for them. If you're not triggered by their state or their feelings, people have great aversion to, for example, someone begging in the streets. It's just their fear of ending up the same. I don't want to see that. It's too much. It's people who are, and that is just lack of acceptance of what is going on inside. Could you really accept any expression that comes, whatever it is? That should challenge you if you really look at that. Or it will. And if you look at your expression, you will also see the things that you safeguard. You will notice where you're not comfortable. And these are beautiful things to stay with. To just see all those expressions. And if you come in a situation, maybe you start to feel very comfortable in almost 99% of all situations. But if you start to be with that, you will notice in that 1%, it will just seem very interesting to you. You will not say, "Oh no, I got triggered by something." Fear is the stickiness. And it touched me deeply early on when I started to get interested in meditation. And then I talked about this before. I had a cassette tape. This is the good old days with the Jiddu Krishnamurti talk, Fear, an Extraordinary Jewel. And I was so fascinated by this title of this talk. I saw it in a shop in India, and I just had to listen to it. Because I couldn't understand how fear could be a good thing. I had no concept of that. I had no way into that. And if you only have this idea that fear is just there for our survival and very like biological view on, like evolutionary view on fear, then we'll change the world. And as everything that you are, stay close to and really examine and accept, you will start to be comfortable. The pushing away is what makes you uncomfortable. The not being able to accept, or saying, "I can never accept this." That is that is harsh, harsh inner talk. And we have a lot of those. So easy to close doors. But no doors have to ever be closed. And there's so much more freedom in just, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see. And the expressions of this world will surprise you. It is so surprising what can happen. Strange sometimes very, very funny. And it would be so obvious that the inner talking mind knows nothing. It's terrible at predicting. It can predict some things through experience. but trying to make you calmer through worry. It's like trying to sleep on a bed of burning charcoals. It's it's not the right environment for peace. And it's interesting how in society it's talked about the mind like it's a tool that we have to sharpen and we have to train it and make it all. But what creates the greatest peace is to leave it alone. To not be interested in it. It's like the opposite of of all these things that at least I grew up with. And that this interest can be something really, really good. Something great, in fact. Because there's so much freedom in it. In all these expressions where there is great interest in the mind, there's also a lot of identity, of course. But I think in most people's experience, there is no choice. There is only mind. At least that is what I see in the expressions of society and how people go with different things. People are so easily persuaded or pushed around by fear because everything is the relative. You have to argue for everything. You have to choose sides for everything. All these things. And we think that the engagement and that is power. It seems like power on the surface. It seems like there's really happening. Things are really happening. But the expressions beyond duality is so much greater. If you really long for peace, it has to start here. When you're in duality and fear-ridden and running around trying to fix everything, what will be the outcome of it? It is the outcome that we see. This duality is you against them. And I know this is a sensitive topic, but I think it's important to look at. Because I see those people who are, I talked about before, that are, they might not be able to express any philosophical thoughts about anything, but they have a deep wisdom, and people naturally loves them and feel very safe around them. And they just spread love. People who have a bad day like to be with them because in a few moments they don't have a bad day anymore. If we want peace, we need people who know themselves and who don't see themselves as peacemakers. They're just the natural expression of this moment. And if you would ask me, how do I become a better person? I could answer, you cannot. But you can know what you are. Because the idea of improving what you are will make you into something. And the only thing we get lost in is our ideas of where we think we're heading, what we think is going on. And also sometimes you can feel that you have to go with some old tendency just one more time. It's unavoidable. You can see how it all unfolds, but it's just happening once more. And sometimes that is the way things is shown to you. But when things take on a different flavor, when it's suddenly much more observed, the quality of it has changed already. But you think, because the outer things are similar to before, that this is happening again. And in a way it is. And another very common fear is that how are you using your time? Are you using it in the correct manner? But maybe you cannot be wrong. Your life just unfolds as it unfolds. And that doesn't mean that you should give up or be passive or anything like that. Just see what the expression is of things. Understand that everything has to happen. Even when it triggers your worst fears. And if you're sincere and you're very honest with yourself, those things will come. then you also have to start to accept the things that you see, that you feel are very dark, and that you're not fine with. And the more you look at it and the more they can be expressed, the more you understand that it's not personal. However personal it can seem in its expression, you will still feel it's not personal. Because thoughts just continue. They just travel. And the default way is that you just have the tendency to be your parent, some version of them. Okay, this is cozy. Ironically, I think, yes. She's lovely, your mother. In her own way. For years, I thought that my parents were quite obnoxious. I could take them for a few days, and then I just felt completely fed up with them. They're nice and all, but they just, you know, I thought that they were treating me a little bit too much like a child, or I took it personal. But nowadays, they are lovely. They're so nice. Even when they're irritated or frustrated, do their things. They're lovely. Love them so much. But that is just the difference. The difference is such a small thing. It's just acceptance of the things in here. When the fear is coming time and time again, and after a while you cannot take it, and your inner dialogue is heavy, then of course it's heavy. But if it doesn't come, it's good. Someone can do something 1,000 times, and you're like, okay. You just feel you understand them, and you just see them, and they have their behavior, and maybe they're stuck in their loops or whatever, and it's fine. They go too extreme, you might tell them to stop, but it's not because it has something to do with you. And I think sometimes that the changes of not being fearful of just one thing might seem so small to the one who practices meditation, because you might be afraid of 1,000 things. But that small thing that you are no longer afraid of is something that won't travel anymore with you as a vehicle. Every fear that is no longer with you and can no longer trigger in you and continue is the end. You are the end station of that fear, however you move around. And also the effect of it, other people see that you don't react to a fear that almost everyone reacts to, and it opens their mind to the possibility that there is a non-reactive state. Because if you only see one behavior, the door is never open for it. And there's so, our potential with that is huge. And because of all these things that we inherit and our unconscious behavior around them, it just continues. And it's not so difficult to look. It's not so difficult to understand that that has a profound effect on your experience. I don't think so. And it seems quite logical. Even to the thinking mind, I think meditation can be quite rational if it's explained well. But there seems to happen almost nothing because of that. It's all in the experiencing. And to just understand what that is. But the concepts like there is only this moment, that's quite easy to grasp. Yes, everything, even my thoughts about the future, they happen in this moment. I think that is not a very difficult concept. And also, just from the experience that you have in your own life, that acceptance creates peace. You can see it. Maybe you're triggered by things and it's very difficult to accept. But you understand that the moment when you accept your current state fully, it dissipates. It's gone. And if you're sensitive and if your filter against the outside world is less, then usually you're more bombarded. And it seems to go a little bit quicker. Or if your life has been quite difficult, that seems also to help. You have been challenged a lot. And of course, all these things can go the opposite direction if you just identify with it and find yourself a victim. You can say, my life is terrible because I had this upbringing, or I had these parents, or I came in these situations. Or you can be Dattatreya and just see the wisdom in everything. Allow it to teach you. But all these things, whatever comes from your parents, whatever comes from society, your upbringing, it is not you. You're always prior to that. Even if the thoughts move through you, they are collective thoughts. They have nothing inherently personal in them. The question is, who are you? When Ramana Maharshi was on his deathbed, his devotees gathered around him and pleaded to him, "Don't leave us, Master. Please don't leave us. We need you. You have to stay." And Ramana just said, "I am here. Where can I go?" And he didn't mean here as the body. But since our eyes see, our nose smell, our ears hear, and everything is outward and experiencing, that so seem to be so easy to miss the subtlety of the whole thing, the isness of it all, that does not have an expression, that cannot be touched or held or caught. But in a way, it's the most obvious thing. The thing that gives the contrast to everything. that gives all these expressions the feeling of that they come and go. I think most people would agree that things come and go. Their thoughts, expressions, emotions. But what do they come and go in? That spaciousness that just gives a naturalness to everything. That seems to want to embrace itself. And when there is no friction of two, love just overflows. The experience is not personal. Is there any questions? Wonderful. So I guess that means either complete clarity or complete confusion. or a mix of both. You don't see it on the stream, but I can put the microphone closer to Sanna so that she would be heard when she sings. um, okay, Sanna, which one do you want? Hey, hey, Govinda. Hey, hey, Gopala. Hey, hey, Govinda. Hey, hey, Gopala. Hey, Vasudeva. Hey, Nityananda. Hey, Vasudeva. Hey, Nityananda. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Govinda, He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Govinda, He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. 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 Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. 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 Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. 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 Thank you.